Welcome to Keep It, Crooked Media's show about pop culture and politics and what happens when they smack into each other at an alarming speed. I'm your host, Ira Madison III, a television writer and Fall Out Boy fan.
I'm Louis Fertel. I'm a TV writer and Jane Fonda historian.
And I'm Aida Osman. I'm a TV writer and alleged comedian.
Let's get into it.
Celebrities, they're just like us. They want to too. But an increasing number of celebrities are resorting to NDAs for their potential lovers to sign. And it's constantly being talked about on, like Instagram accounts like De Moi. And there was recently a BuzzFeed piece that dove into the world of celebrity NDAs for their sexual partners, written by Haley Lieberman. What do we think about this?
Well, to me, what's mostly weird is that it's not the information's coming out now, since there's always been a standard version of this throughout the ages. You know what I mean? You can't talk about, for instance, Tom Cruise without bringing up the amount of paperwork it takes to even know Tom Cruise.
Right. They want to party with the Cruise. They're going to have to sign a non-disclosure.
Right, yeah.
Katie Holmes!
Ask Nazanin Boniadi about signing some paperwork. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Nicole Kidman, tell us about your marriage. Bitch, you think she's trying to get sued?
No, I can't. No.
You'll never see her again. Yeah. I can't. Nar.
She's just, honestly, pretty raw.
Pretty raw.
Yeah, nice.
There are certain things we reference constantly in our lives, Ira and me specifically, and one of them is Nicole Kidman's 73 questions. So you need to just have these all memorized for when you come back to Keep It, everybody, including you, Aida.
All right, I'll throw in the Elizabeth Taylor AD video.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a good
If you
one.
memorize Victoria Beckham's 73 questions, you will know why sometimes I just turn to my friends and say, AIDS.
Yes.
Oh, that's why you did that. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
She's
got
asked,
you.
what's the one thing what's the one thing that you wish you could get rid of in the world? And she turns around and says, AIDS.
Yeah. She even says it kind of blunter than that. Like AIDS.
What is one thing in this world that we need to get rid of?
AIDS. Reminder, these answers are pre-written.
Yes.
I will say that I'm of two minds about celebrity sex NDAs. One, I would never sign one.
That's
I feel
a lie.
like. I feel
And
depends who it is, baby.
yeah, I just want to know if if a young Timothy came trouncing around and wanted you and there was paperwork involved, you're just saying, maybe I picked the wrong person. I don't know who you're sexually attracted to.
I'm sexually attracted to Timothy Chalamet.
Okay,
theory.
then if there's
in theory,
paper.
I
Now
think
in
I'm
practice,
actually more attracted to his fashion sense.
well, girl, you can't fucking
Which might not even be his fashion sense.
Yeah. Who's his stylist?
Right.
Okay. What little nigga he got? Up in Crown Heights, who's like
Exactly.
getting him up on the kicks,
sweat equity, pulling Carhartt overalls and beanies all day, every day
running
in the
to thrift
streets.
shops to get Celine pieces for Timothy. He loves a Celine and a New Balance. But also, I'm of the mind that getting people to sign one seems fine to me, because we are in a world where I mentioned De Moi, right? Any celebrity has any random encounter with someone now, this person is running to the internet to write about their interaction with that person, and I think it's weird. So I would not want people talking about what we do in the bedroom.
I don't mind if people ask for NDAs. I would sign one depending on what we're doing and who I'm with. But it's the matter of when along the night you ask me to sign an NDA. Are we inebriated? Have things already been sexually? Has the tension been high? There's another level of power dynamic and abuse that could happen in that signing of the paperwork. So that's an interesting fold to it.
I absolutely agree with that. I think that if you are signing NDAs, it should be just like the paperwork scene in 50 Shades of Grey.
Exactly. When it's cold, stoic, callous, still, nothing sexual.
And you are like, okay, what about this provision? Okay, no, I'm not doing that, etc.
That is interesting. I mean, it is legal paperwork, so it does sort of feel like you should have a lawyer there for it.
Truly.
I did, don't just give me an NDA as I'm walking into your home. I want to read this shit. I want to know what I can and can't talk about.
Right. All right, well, this just got more difficult for me, and I'm now thinking about who I would go the distance for, shall we say.
Okay, Hercules.
Hercules.
Okay, Justin Long and Drew Barrymore. Yeah.
I also am wondering now, because there's a culture of NDAs that has changed. Like even 5 or 6 years ago, when we found out that Charlie Sheen was potentially giving other women NDAs to sign before sex, it was like, ew, gross. What are you doing? Mm-hmm. But now when Beyonce has an NDA and she's making Tiffany Haddish sign it before they go hang out, it's like, okay, girl, what are y'all doing? Like, there's just, it's very dependent on who has the NDA and what the culture of that person's identity includes.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's stuff where it's like you find out that someone bit Beyonce on the face, right?
Nah, Tiffany and Beyonce are fucking. Don't take it from me.
And that makes me think about, just like the random nights where we hang out with our friends, right? And like someone does something that's goofy or like something that like becomes like a story that we like constantly reference. And I guess if we're all celebrities and a friend does that, you don't want that story circulating, so it becomes like a thing that's like in page 6 or something, right? So that's why you sign an NDA before you.
That makes me wonder
how.
It's like somebody who hangs out with a lot of celebrities. And is a celebrity themselves. Like, is Busy Phillips constantly signing NDAs just based on the people she's around? I want to know.
Does Michelle make her sign one?
That's part of the question. Yeah.
It's like, here's a drink. Here's an NDA.
I have never been asked to sign one with anyone that I've hung out with, for the record. So
I've only signed them when I've gone on game shows, because you can't like give away the result of what happened. Yeah.
Mine aren't for hanging out. Mine are for like Marvel auditions where I'm the secretary and they're like, don't tell anyone that we're making movies.
Did sign a heavy NDA to go into Marvel.
God, you can't even think about Marvel without signing an NDA.
Okay, what celebrity would y'all sign an NDA for? To hang out with.
Oh, just to hang out with. Okay.
Just to hang out with. And then I want to know what celebrity you would sign an NDA to fuck.
Okay, great. Well, to hang out with, I mean, like, it would have to be pretty anthropological in nature. I would want to be like, I would need to study the person. Like, it would be satisfying for me to study the person. It probably wouldn't be an act of friendship I was seeking. Like, I do believe I should hang out with Madonna one time. I'm not saying it's going to go well for me, nor am I saying I'm going to come out of it psychologically unscathed. But I need to get the information firsthand, as opposed to like the behind the music-y talking heads being circumspect and guessing how she behaves,
Baby, that's going to be how you end up floating dead in the pool, okay? The night you meet Madonna is your Sunset Boulevard.
Which reminds me, Andrew Lloyd Webber wanted her to star in the reboot of Sunset Boulevard when they made it into a musical movie.
I would have watched that in an instant.
Mean, that would be crazy.
Aida ate, okay? I am just going to put that out there. Evita is that girl.
Yeah, I do.
Evita.
I enjoy Evita. A 3-star film for me, but I enjoy it.
Yeah, what celebrity to hang out with, Aida?
To hang out with, I'm really, really struggling to think, because I don't feel like these people don't be doing fun shit. I don't know.
Right. Who's fun? I don't have a sense of who's fun. Yeah.
Who's fun? I would say the fuck one came to me very, very easily. If Daniel Kaluuya wanted to serve me any type of paper, I would just look it up and I wouldn't even read it. I'll sign it. I don't care. You want my limbs? You want to remove my limbs? No Army Hammer. You just want to have them? That's fine. You can have them. Anything that you want. I would Daniel Kaluuya. Did I tell you guys recently? This is so unfortunate, but I was driving, and it was right before the Oscars, actually. It was like the day before the Oscars, and I was driving down Melrose, and I had been talking about Daniel Kaluuya moments before, and then I pull up to the intersection, and I turn to my right, and guess who's in his little black SUV looking sexier than ever? Daniel Kaluuya.
Oh, wow.
It was so odd. I felt like I manifested him. Girls, settle down, sit down.
Did you splay yourself on the glass like one of those Garfield sticker things that people put on the window?
I couldn't help it. My tits were out. They were pressed up against the glass. No, I just looked at him and mouthed, "I love you," and he gave me the most subtle, cool peace sign and just carried on, went forward. The light was green. I hadn't noticed.
You know what? I would sign an NDA to party with Rihanna.
Ooh.
Definitely.
Okay, Azealia.
Because I think she would be cool too. I mean, like, can you believe it? That's my take. She's probably cool. But
the most
be worth
top
it.
celebrity to like party with, I feel like.
Yes, that's a great answer. That's the answer.
I'm stealing a Twitter meme now. My favorite oldies artist, Rihanna. Because everything she's released is years and years old. Yes.
I mean, listen, we're here, only girl in the world on easy listening. Okay.
It's a yacht rock classic now. Yes.
Okay, which one would you sign an NDA to have sex with, Lewis?
Oh God, so hard. I don't really have an answer for that. I nobody is coming to mind where I'm like, I'm that desperate for it. Sex shouldn't feel distant or strange or elusive. I believe it's a social thing, and you should have it naturally without paperwork involved.
Oh, shut up.
Shut the fuck up, Lewis.
I don't even know what I was saying. I just
Oh, straight edge bastard.
I would sign one in an instant for Ricky Martin.
Okay. Well, fabulous
in
answer.
India.
All right, well, if you're a celebrity who would like any of us to sign an NDA,
Right.
Hit us up.
you know how to
find
reach us. Brought to you by Chase Bank. It's Pride.
Oh, there's just one big sponsor now. Okay, great.
You know what? Eventually it'll just be Amazon's Gay Pride, if we're being honest.
It'll be easier. Yeah.
Jeff Bezos will buy Pride.
Certainly, if you want like a $13 singlet for a gay warehouse party, that's where you go.
Did you do that for this weekend,
Well,
Lewis?
I was going to say, are we slaves to the system?
Am I going to see you in a singlet for the first time?
Shimmery,
No,
rainbow?
No, but yes. But I know it's available to people out there if they would like to have it.
Yeah, yeah.
Not
it's in
me,
the ether.
Lewis. Yeah.
Okay. I think some of our listeners would love that. That's my queer recommendation this week, that Lewis drop a singlet photo.
Oh my! Your queer recommendation is pimping me out. Okay.
Listen, baby, we can make the big bucks. I figured it's Pride. You know, what should we be telling the children, the girls, to read, to watch, to listen to?
To consume, to look at.
Among queer movies, I think my favorite one of the past 5 years I've seen is Beach Rats. You ever seen Beach Rats?
I did see Beach Rats, and you know what? I wrote a not glowing review of Beach Rats for the Daily Beast.
Not you undercutting his first rec.
Well, it's a slice of life movie about this kind of like young adult played by Harris Dickinson, who is brutally hot. But it just, I'm not saying it's like a definitive queer movie in any way, but like his weird alienation from people is interesting. It's made by the woman Eliza Hittman, who also did the recent Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always, which if you haven't seen that is like just unbelievably harrowing movie about.
I adore that film.
Yeah, about just a girl who is getting an abortion. That's what the whole movie is about. But this movie just there are certain movies you just feel like you want to live in for a little while, not even because it's completely comfortable, but because it sets a scene so well. And that movie does that. And the story is interesting and feels organic and not contrived in the way that like most screenplays do. It's never like, oh, we're getting to the redemptive part, or we're getting to the part where he, stands up for himself or whatever. It's not like that. It feels true to life, and I recommend that movie.
I was a really big fan of Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always. So I think that revisiting Beach Rats in the context of that film, I might like it a bit more.
Y'all need to start saying NRSA. It's too many words for both of you.
And also, like, I always forget one of them. It's like it's like ENFJ. I'm like, oh God, which one's F? Et cetera. Yeah.
Yes, never, rarely, maybe so.
Never, rarely, we'll see. Aida, your turn.
Yes, I have been forcing myself. I mean, of course, enjoyably so, being a child of an African immigrant, but just watching a lot of diaspora queer movies and trying to find as much of that content as possible. So most of my recommendations are going to be that. But I recently watched a film called Rafiki, which is Swahili for the word friend, not to be confused with the character from Lion King. So I know where y'all bitches' heads is about to go.
I was definitely not about to make a joke about Rafiki
You weren't.
from the Lion King.
It wasn't coming to your mind. It wasn't something about... And I'll just fast forward. It's a movie
I was
about
about to
two...
hold up a baby.
Yeah, and slightly lick your hand and push it right directly to its forehead. It's a story about two young women in Kenya where, of course, lesbian relationships are banned. And, of course, the movie, too, is also banned. And them just trying to navigate what their world looks like when they're falling in love in a place where it's not okay. And I think it's interesting, too, this movie is important for all people, but we are so tired of oppressive storylines in the United States because we've seen it so many times, but there are very real and palpable stories that are of oppression that are still going on in other places. And that's why I'm willing to entertain those kind of storylines. You see it in a different world. So Rafiki is a big movie. Watch it. Wonderful. Another film, same thing, a gay couple, Naz and Malik. And I think I've recommended this on the podcast before, but y'all need to get with it and watch it again.
I reviewed Naz and Malik at one point, and
I remember this.
Loved that film.
I love that.
Yes.
Two black Muslim boys navigating the space of being queer in Brooklyn. It's beautiful. A lot of these things, it's just so refreshing to see the imagery. You've never seen it before. So those are my two movies.
I think that is a gorgeous film.
I have a queer recommendation for music that is
let's
historical.
go.
Okay, somebody who is not talked about in the context of queerness. I mean, he was never out in his lifetime, but now I feel like the people who know him, that's all they talk about is how he was gay and everybody knew it.
Freddie Mercury.
Good guess. Luther Vandross. If you read specifically his album, because he's not talked about as an album artist a lot either, Never Too Much from the early 80s, you could bop to Luther Vandross. People really, I think now, like casual music consumers, think of him as the Dance with My Father guy, but he really had some fucking music with a groove back in those days. Really, as an album, it is flawless, like a 5-star album, and often forgot. It's also just like you don't think of smooth, buttery vocals as necessary to dance music, but it's awesome to see them in concert or hear them in concert. So I really recommend that.
It is never too much to talk
Never
about
too
Luther
much.
Vandross.
Never too much. Never too much. Yeah.
I love that song. I
Slay
love
song.
Never. I'm constantly listening to Never Too Much.
I miss a jerry curled man. That's
Yeah.
what I miss. A shirt tucked in, a tight belt, snapping at the wrist, and a jerry curl.
Aida just composed a poem for us? Okay.
I have to wonder, like, if I would have had a jerry curl back then.
I would
I
say
know.
you would.
And-
I think you would have.
and-
Yeah.
You would have. Finger
And it would've
curls
been-
every day.
It's just like complicated on the sheets and stuff.
Oh yeah, but that's why you got a little bonnet. You tie that up. You got your silk pillowcases. You wouldn't have even. It wouldn't have phased you. It would have been second nature. It would have been your life, Ira. It would have been your life. So you guys remember her from Ooh. Oh God, that was horrible. I'm gonna let young MA do all the rapping and singing. However,
Oh,
wow.
you were saying, ooh.
Ooh.
Okay, you were giving out some, like, little wail.
Oh,
okay?
whale, whale. Sorry, there was no dedication.
I love Young Ma. Okay.
My God, yo.
Young Ma
Yo.
and I shared a bill.
For what? I think she goes by Young
When
MA. I'm pretty sure, unless I'm wrong.
It probably is Young M.A., but I like calling her Young Ma.
Young mommy. Young
Okay?
mommy.
I like the, hey, Ma, you looking young.
She is from Brooklyn. She is from New York. It only makes sense that you would call her that.
Yeah.
So,
When I was on the Wendy Williams show, she was the musical guest.
ooh, that wasn't
Yeah.
on purpose. I didn't mean to do that. But
I wanted to, like, go and, like, knock and say, hey, what's good? But I was like, I am not about to knock on a rapper's door.
no, you're not about to do that. One that consistently talks about having multiple guns. But
Yes.
check out her album, Her Story, which of course is a play on the word history, if you missed it. But yeah, she's just a wonderful rapper. She's one of the best lyricists in that realm right now. And I love her. I love her dearly.
I love her. You know what? Because I think constantly these women are, like, rapping about, like, sex and pussy and dick too much.
Wops and shit.
Young M.A. is always rapping about pussy.
Yeah, and as she should, because she's staying
She's great.
pussy.
Yeah, she's
Also,
great. She's
unfortunately,
great.
since you said the words Young Ma, I am now thinking about a prequel to the film Ma, starring maybe Keke Palmer.
I'd watch
not a
that.
prequel.
And I'd watch that, and she would be in it. She would sign up for that in an instant. You know that.
You know
It's
she
in
would be
development.
great. I want to see her hit.
in
Yeah,
development.
the first time she hit a woman with her car. Yeah.
It would also be like the bullies in school, like locking her up. somewhere, and they'd say, "You have to drink alone." So then we
Right.
know where she got "Don't make me drink alone," where she got that from. Speaking of music, I do want to recommend our friend Vincent, who we talked about all the time. Last week, his album, There Will Be Tears, drops on Friday. Definitely listen to that. I was at the album listening party last night. It was fantastic. Also, weirdly, I just did an interview with Todrick Hall, and I want to say that I really enjoy his new album.
Oh, so you're a sellout and just become a fan of whoever meets you. How interesting.
Nice.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know what, Lewis?
Actually, no, I think a lot of his music is really good.
Yeah. I also have 2 book recommendations.
Let's hear
I'm
them.
in the midst of 100 Boyfriends by Brontez Purnell, which is beautiful writing. Beautiful writing. So you got to read that. And also a book by a friend of Lewis and I's, Jonathan Parks Ramage.
Oh,
Yes,
love
Daddy.
him.
Oh,
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
be friends too.
And boyfriend to Ryan O'Connell, if you're familiar with the show Special.
So,
okay.
yeah, they're just making queer shit up in that house.
It's like we're a small, tight-knit community. It's weird. Wow.
We all know one another. Anyway,
And
that's our queer recommendations this week.
I have no others. Everything else is strictly heterosexual. So, the love of my life, heterosexuality and art.